So here's another out of body experience. This one, I saw my sister. So it was definitely an interesting experience. And I'm smiling already because, to be honest, it was a little bit funny to me. But we'll get to that point in a little bit. Um, the night that I had this experience, it had to have been maybe 2 weeks or so ago. Um, yeah, I ended up going into the hypnagogic state. I got up same time, maybe 2:30 ish, before my alarm clock actually went off for three. Um, and I put on my headphones, yada, yada, yada. I ended up coming out of the body like I would typically would. I kind of rolled out. Um, it was relatively seamless. I did hit the ground, and when I rolled, I hit the floor and then I got up. I noticed that this time I didn't see any entities. I didn't see anybody at least in the room at the time. However, it seemed less dreamlike and much more real, like more real than the typical physical, than physical life. I ended up looking around the room and it looked similar, not quite the same. But on my bed, I could see what appeared to be my phone. Now, my phone, um, I just picked it up and I saw a heart, like the organ, and it was beating. And it was laid on top of it was a green background. And the quicker the heart started to beat, the color started to change, like yellowish. And so I just figured, okay, well, if it's changing colors, then that basically means I need to chill out, to calm myself down. In which case I did. So it went from a yellowish green to back to green. But again, it was like the organ on my phone. So I put the phone down. I look around the room and I noticed that there was a dresser. Um, Looked quite old time, but whatever. I didn't think much about it. I decided to move out of the room. Walked out of the room and I saw my dog again in the front, because I was about to head back outside like I typically do. Saw my dog. He was laying in the front. Now, again, my dog, he was out of the body again, but he had two of him. I did not pay very much attention to the part of him that was next to me because that was part of him was still kind of following behind me or on the side of me. But the one that was in the front, when I looked at him, he cowered, at least to a slight degree. And I noticed that my eyes, when I looked at him, it was like flashlights. So it was almost like my eyes were flashlights on him. He cowered a little bit, and then I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, well, it's okay, it's okay. And then he relaxed, so apparently he heard me. Um, but the eyes part, I that was a little that was the first time I experienced that, like my eyes being like flashlights. So, anyways, I went on out of the door and I noticed that my sister was right behind me. I didn't say anything at the time because I I guess it didn't quite dawn on me at that point that she was out of her body until I went out. When I left out of the apartment, she came and was standing right outside the door. And I looked back and I say, you're out of your body. I'm gonna use a different name, you know. Um, I don't know. Let's call it Keisha. Keisha, you you out of your body too. Now she's looking at me like weird. I mean, I'm saying that like something like she was high or some shit. I mean, it was like halfway smiling with that. So I figured I'm like, okay, well look, maybe she doesn't realize she's out of the body and she's probably unconscious or to some degree. So then she grabs my arm. She's like, I mean, hair disheveled. I mean, it just did not, it didn't look very, becoming at all. But it was kind of funny to me at the time. It's still funny to me, even more so now. But she just looking like this, and I'm like, "You out of your body?" And she's kind of you know, and didn't say anything. So I just moved on. She let my arm go, and I went on forward out of the apartment. I mean, out of that area because we were both outside of the apartment at the time. And then I see these other beings and entities. They were outside, looked like they were having some sort of a dance party. Very similar to the festival that I saw in another out of body experience, except um, I don't know, less polished, if you will. They were dancing, and then I saw this being. And I'm going to call her a she. Looked, she was quite short, maybe about 3 feet. However, she looks like a black lamb. He had enough nerve to have a little pink bow on the top of her head too. A little small, tiny bow. And her legs, she was on 2 legs, but they were kind of hooved, all black. Very cute. I mean, curly hair just all over. The face was resembled human face, except, small in stature and slightly lamb-like, slightly. There were 2 of them. One of them was the one that I kind of caught eyes with, and the moment that she saw me, she stopped. And I was thinking to myself, I hope, that she's not afraid. It looked as if I was I may have come out before and maybe I don't know if I was just not a very nice person or a nice whatever. But she was like, and then so I just waved. I was like, hey, and she waved back and then started back dancing and doing her thing. And I thought that was very, very interesting, but she's a very little cute little lamb like entity. The other one was dancing but did not we I did not pay very much attention to that one. Her back was turned. um, but after that point I ended up coming back into my body. So it was quite an interesting out of body experience to me. um, when I got up the next morning, my sister, she was up too, and this is, you know, physically we were up, okay. And I was taking my dog out as like I normally would, and she told me that, well, first I said, Tina, you do realize you were out of your body last night. I saw you. She said, oh, I had a dream that I went right outside the door. I didn't go too far, but I saw our neighbor. And I'm like, I said, do you remember seeing me? She didn't remember seeing me. But she had the night before smoked something like called a moon rock. I'm not too adept at certain, you know, chemical things that we divulge in. I'm not too, you know. So, but she says she said something about a moon rock or something, and right before she went to bed, and so that I guess that basically explains the disheveled look and the weirdness in our interaction. But but she was out of her body as well. So she did. It is true. She was outside, and she actually did realize she thought it was a dream, though. But with that being said, uh, I just wanted to get this down into my journal, my OBE journal, if you will. Um, I'm learning a lot, and there's more to come. So, with that being said, I will see you or hear you hopefully next time. Don't forget, if you'd like to share some things in the comments, please, by all means. Um, I'm still learning, so maybe we can learn together.